want to show you how Gabe cuts in real quick. Gabe, is there anything specific with what you got with your brush, putting you on the spot here? Anything specific or why you chose that to cut in the ceiling?
You need a stronger bristles because you got a lot of back and forth movement on this knockdown. So this is probably the medium,
Bristle, like
bristle.
stiffness?
Yeah.
Okay. And what would be the step above that? Would it be the pretty blue tips?
The blue tips.
And then below that would be like a clear
like
cut?
a nylon.
Nylon, okay.
Yeah, Nylox.
All right, so he chose that because you've got a different pattern in the wall. You're trying to work into the grooves of the pattern to make sure that everything gets coated. So that's why he chose that. I'm sure you just have, what is this one, a sprig is what they call that. It's probably just his preference. I use a different style. But what I want to show you is I just want to show you how he holds his brush to be able to cut in that wall. You see he's got 3 fingers on the back side, and I know a lot of you guys think that it's not a big deal. Hold your brush the way you want to hold your brush, and that's just not the case. If you find somebody who does stuff better than you, learn exactly what they're doing and mimic them, because there are reasons why he's holding his brush this way and why he gets the consistent cut-in lines that Gabe's known to get. So he's got 3 fingers on the back side, 1 finger on top, and his thumb coming around it. Obviously, he's going to give him stability. Gabe, show us how you dip. Tell us a little bit about that as well. Also, I want you to notice, I know I'm speaking fast, but Gabe has cut in this room, or at least a portion of this room, and look how far up the paint is on his bristles. He never or very rarely allows paint to get over halfway above the bristles, correct? Mm-hmm. And if they do get past the halfway point, you're actually compromising the bristles because you've got paint in the area where it needs to keep the bristles together and tight. You're compromising it by putting paint in that area. It pops your bristles out and it doesn't allow you to get the same consistency. So if you get it over halfway over the bristles of your brush, take it, clean it out, grab yourself a new brush. Don't even try, because you're not going to get the same consistency every time. So he's very diligent on how he dips it to not go over the halfway mark. So he dips. You can see he shakes, taps a little bit on the sides of the can. He doesn't have so much paint that it's dripping off the bristles of the brush, right? And look, let me see this again, Gabe. You can see the bristles have worked their way, the paint has worked their way up the bristles, but still he's only like, I don't know, maybe a fifth of the actual bristle usage is covered in paint. All right, go ahead, man.
I usually like to give it a little smack like that on the wall so it's not puddling up.
So he works the paint off of the walls first. He doesn't try to go right into cutting a straight in line with all of that paint that was on those bristles. He taps a little bit off, and then he works that area that he tapped in, he works that into his cutting. But he's actually cutting in with less paint than he started with from dipping the can. He's actually starting the cut in with less paint because he dabs both sides of the brush onto the wall. It's actually giving him a really perfect amount to start the cut in, and then if he needs more paint, he can pick it up off the wall or spread it out exactly the way that he did. Show us that one more time, a little bit more over here. Notice the consistency, notice the paint amount on the brush. He dabs off both sides, then he works his cut in. And in this particular case, he's actually got to cut in both directions, if you noticed that just now, because one direction on knockdown does not get into every groove. So he worked his cut in one way and then came back and worked his cut in the opposite direction to get proper coverage on that. Do you have anything to add in that? Anything that would help somebody else?
Well, when you're working with the darker colors, it's a whole, every little microscopic pinhole is going to show. So, it is a lot of back and forth action. So if you're doing that, there's nothing wrong with that. It's what it takes to paint the knockdown.
Yeah. What if you can't get inside there if it's a really dark color? I prefer to do a little shake. You taught me that, especially on the corners. But I prefer to do a little shake if I see little pinholes in there. I'm going over a white with a dark green. I'll do a little shake. Is that the same thing that you'll do?
Yeah, it doesn't always work as good for the knockdown, but it kind of just saves you from some of this back and forth motion. You just kind of give it a little,
Yep. And then fill it back in.
Yeah.
Yep. Totally understood. Okay, so there's a lot to learn from this video. There's a ton of information, so don't just pass over this video like it's just like that. We all know how to cut in. There's specifics on the amount of brush or the amount of paint on the bristles, what texture you're putting that on, how he's holding his bristle, what brush he wants to use, how to use this product, how to get it off the cans, how to apply it to do a cut in. So take that, dissect it, and learn from this simple video